Welcome. I'm Jason Bilger of SDSC South Bay, and this is the Debate Room, the battlefield for your 2012 Youth Governor debate. And here we have our 5 candidates. And now, time for the introductions. First, to my left, Spencer Perry of the Albany YMCA, supported by the Pirate Party. Second, Avery House, supported by the Yin Yang Party and from the West Side Family YMCA. In the middle, Max Bouvry from East Valley, who's chosen to run unaffiliated. Next, Miss Jenna Galper from the Slumber Party and from Crescenta Cañada YMCA. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Martin Beer of the House Party from Culver Palms Family YMCA, otherwise known as CPY. And this is the debate. Welcome, all the candidates. And now for our first question. Candidates, what strengths do you see in your fellow candidates? We'll start with Mr. Perry.
Well, that's a good question. My fellow candidates have all been really competitive over these past few days and even the past few weeks. For instance, Avery is a tremendous speaker, and she has a lot to offer for the community. Max Bouvry, he really knows how to lead a campaign. Jenna, you've always been a terrific speaker, and you have a strong political mind. And Martin, I have the privilege of being in session with Martin. He's also a very powerful speaker.
Hi, my name is Avery House. I think that Spencer is extremely incredible person. He's very qualified and ran a great campaign. I think that Max is a great person as well, also a great speaker and thinker. I think that Jenna is a lovely lady and also my other leading woman in this race, so it's very good to have her with me. And I think that Martin has become a very good friend of mine over the course of this race.
I feel that Spencer has the knowledge and drive for this position. I feel that Avery is a very personable speaker, you could say. I feel that Jenna has ideas that will really affect the program in a positive way, and I feel that Martin is running a great campaign and is very approachable.
Absolutely. I'd like to second that everything that everyone said so far. I think all the candidates are really great, and I've loved being able to bond with them. A little bit about each candidate. I think Spencer has had some really great creative ideas that he brought up that have actually inspired me to think of some new ideas as well. Avery, as she said before, it's great to have another lady in the top 5, and I think especially her last speech was really touching and inspiring. It was a great personal story. With Max, I think it's really great how he can relate to delegates and kind of put himself on everyone's level. It really makes governor candidates more accessible. And with Martin, I'm truly impressed at just the amount of delegations he campaigned to. He was telling me, I think it was like over 10. It's a real commitment to the race, and I appreciate that.
Between the 5 of us, I think we share a lot of love, making this race so much more fun for all of us. Spencer just is on top of his game. He knows what he's doing. Avery, we've become great friends. Max Bouvry, you were the first one I met, and we clicked, I thought, at your meeting. It was a lot of fun. And Jenna, I truly love the way you stick true to your passions and always follow through with it.
And now, while this is a respectful race, it is also a competitive one. And so the next question, what advantages do you hold over your competitors? We'll start with Ms. House.
I feel that my advantage over this is that the entire time I've been in this program, I was a normal delegate. I spoke in my committees, and I wasn't in the upper level of youth in government, so I am the majority of what youth in government is. I know exactly what delegates need. I've seen what can be fixed, and I've had the privilege of being on the same level as many of the delegates in youth in government. And now that I've also had the privilege of being a committee chair and running statewide, I know what the statewide officers need and want, as well as the normal delegates. So I think that I have an incredible perspective on both sides of the spectrum, and I think I can bring that to my campaign. And as your youth governor, I feel like I could put that into some great ideas for the Youth in Government program of 2013.
I feel that I am one of my biggest advantages is that I am running to be in the unaffiliated party. I am not focusing on my just my party goals. In the unaffiliated party, we are focusing on the entire California's youth group goals. Another thing, I feel that similar to Avery, I have been a normal delegate. I've spoken in my committees, and on top of that, I have been a statewide leader just this year. And I feel that that has given me similar to Avery, again, a spectrum of both sides, and I feel that I can make program areas similar to what I say in my speeches among many more that will actually affect the delegates rather than just promises. Thank you.
That's an interesting question. An advantage that I would say I have over other candidates, or just something about myself that I think makes me valuable as a candidate, is that my personality kind of lends me to always be assessing situations and looking for flaws. That's one of the first things I look for when I love something. As much as I love this program, I look for the flaws and I look for the areas that I can improve instead of just, loving it. And I think that if I were to be elected youth governor, the delegates can trust that I would never just accept the status quo. I'll constantly be searching through flaws throughout the entire duration of my term to be making improvements no matter how small or big. And I think that's something that gives me an advantage.
My greatest advantage is this house of support that was built around me, from my delegation, from House Party, from all the great delegates around. We are truly striving to show that we are a movement and not just a candidate in an election.
Well, I think my greatest strengths and my advantages in this campaign are twofold. It's my leadership experience within youth and government, also outside of youth and government. Outside of youth and government, I'm the debate captain for my school, the Model UN captain for my school, and the mock trial captain for my school. But not only that, I've also served on some governmental boards and committees to decide governmental procedure and policy at my town. But inside youth and government, I'm a 2-time Kona delegate, I'm a multiple-time candidate, and I think that kind of experience has really exposed me to what youth and government needs, what the people want, and what the delegates need inside youth and government. I think that's my advantage.
All right, thank you, candidates. Now this will be part of the open forum discussion. We'll now have questions where any of the candidates can first answer. Will be as a first come, first served basis, and it will range on a myriad of topics. First, Max was quoted as saying that political parties were almost a disaster. What exactly, could you please elaborate on that?
I don't necessarily think I said they were a disaster, but I feel that the way that the party system is running now is that they're focusing on their own goals, and that I don't like it, Bob, too, how you may align with a political party, but you want to support that party because of their views and their platform, but you cannot support other candidates. And I feel that that's one of the things that is detrimental to youth and government. And on top of that, within the party system, we are not focusing as a unified group. We are focusing on our broken up groups within the party. And I feel that with the unaffiliated campaign behind me, I'm focusing on California as a whole, not breaking each other up. And we need to show the adults in previous generations, and on the federal level and the state level, that we want to become unified and bring us back to a prosperity we've never seen before.
Well, Max, I disagree with you there. Actually, I think the political party system needs to actually have some leniency as it is right now. It's the youngest program in youth and government, and it really needs to be accepted and be understood by the youth and government delegates. I think that the political parties provide a real amount of support for the candidates. And I do agree with you. California needs to be united, and that's exactly what we can accomplish. Unfortunately, I do think that the political parties, although they might separate us a little bit, I think that we can still form a Y&G political party, if you will. I think that we're all united, and the political parties just kind of identify what our views are.
But at the same time, the identification of the views is fair and far between. Like I've met numerous amount of people that say, "Oh, I'm part of this particular party." When shaking their hands, and they said, I asked, "Why are you part of that party?" And they say, "Oh, the leaders in my delegation," which is totally fine, and I totally understand the support. But at the same time, the political party system in our federal government, which we are representing and trying to experience within Y&G, their party system is completely failing. And George Washington said it from the very beginning, that our political party system will make us fail and it will split us apart. And I'm not saying it's making us fail to any extent, but it is splitting us apart to a certain extent.
I think I can take a different perspective on political parties. What really encouraged me to run for youth governor was last year I was kind of looking for something to invest my time into aside from the regular program area that I was in. So I got very into the governor campaign, which was also with a political party. I befriended the political party chair, and I got very into his campaign as well as the political party platform, and it made me feel like I was a part of something. You know, it's not always just about the separation of things, but it's also just you feel included in your party. So sometimes not everybody feels included throughout Y&G, so you feel a place where they want you there and you want to be there, and it's a mutual love for the party.
But why make that in one particular place when we can make that within the entire youth and government group, when we can all feel accepted within the entire group, not just a particular place.
I think what the political parties are trying to aspire to do is actually emulate, even if it is a broken system, the system that's in place. It's a model,
Absolutely.
Which is important. I agree with you
yeah.
on that.
It's a model legislature in court and a model one, meaning modeled after the one that's in place. I think if we just work out the kinks and keep trying to just tell what the problems are in the parties, we can work to a really positive system, something that maybe even the system that's in place in the federal government now can be modeled after.
And like all great
Ms.
things.
Ms. Jenna Galper, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I think that the importance of the political party system is that it adds a dose of reality into our program. You know, the fact is that political parties exist in our real political system, and while it may divide some people on views, while people may join a party because they have friends in it, that's how it works in the real world too. And I think the closer we can make YNG to emulating the actual political system, the better prepared we'll be to graduate from YNG and go out and participate in civic engagement, and we'll be just that much more ready.
I believe we made great change in the political party between last year and this year in the system. However, the changes have not been that effective. We went from having a conference in our parties every Bob 1, Bob 2, and SAC, and now we only had a Bob 2 meeting between the parties, and it's truly let great candidates go unnoticed. Bob 1, parties could not represent their candidates yet because they were not established yet, and that is unacceptable. And now in SAC, where we need most our political parties to bond as a group, they're not around. And for what reason? Because we don't have time, or
Because
I
the system
don't
needs to be ratified, just like me and you have discussed before.
And like all great things, they get better with age. So I think that as the program goes on and we develop and we work out the kinks, like Spencer said, and we realize what needs to be fixed and what needs to be assessed, I think that we can just hash it out and figure out what needs to be examined, and we can fix it. And like all the other program areas in youth and government, it can be nearly flawless.
I think
All right, well, I'm sorry. Thank you for your thoughts. But now, sticking on the category of political parties, Martin Beer's political party, the House Party, the leader said that it was wanted to be a part of a new Amsterdam, that delegates should let go of their carnal desires. I was wondering, do the rest of the candidates support the House Party and some of the proclamations that they've made?
could I start off by
Yeah,
defending
go
the
ahead.
House Party and saying that that is a little harshly put. He should not have said it that way. We simply strive for individual liberties, and within YNG we strive to let the delegates take care of more of the work and less of the program staff organization, allowing the delegates to truly get the full experience out of YNG. And we promote individual liberties, and that the people should have the right to do as they please within certain bounds.
I would have to say I agree with certain aspects of the House Party's platform. While I think that, you know, the issues that they're promoting may not be the most important issues that are facing our state right now, I do think that it is important that we allow people to have certain individual liberties so that the government is not playing too strong and too harsh of a role in people's individual lives. What they do in their personal lives is really none of the government's business.
Me personally, I actually have the majority of my family in Amsterdam, and I feel that Martin actually defended it perfectly, and not necessarily that I 100% support how radical they might have been. I'm not necessarily a huge Ron Paul supporter in the sense of his economic platform of deregulating everything, but I feel that the liberty within certain boundaries is actually a perfect way to put it.
I think that the House Party brings new ideas to youth in government and allows people to say how they feel about certain liberties. As Jenna said, I agree with what Jenna said. But I also think that we also have to keep it very professional to a certain extent, of course, because we are teenagers. But I have to say that we have to keep it somewhat professional to keep our sponsors and donors and things like that, which I think that the House Party is actually doing a very good job at during Sacramento.
I think what the House Party is striving for is something very interesting. With the research that I've done in some school reports or whatnot, it's shown that legalizing certain substances like marijuana, like alcohol, they end up eliminating a black market. And it means for regulation. And that also means less gang violence, less drug abuse. I think if we can implement some of the policies that the House Party is striving for, I think we can look for a better California and a better tomorrow.
Just to clarify, in Amsterdam, the legalization of marijuana, it's not necessarily 100% legal, it's more so tolerated, just to clear the air on that topic.
All right, well, thank you for the clarification. I'm sorry if I accidentally stepped over the boundary there. Now, another political party is the Yin Yang Party, who have said that they don't want any of their members to abstain. Do you candidates feel that abstention is perhaps a necessary process? Should a delegate be allowed to abstain and have that freedom, or should he have to choose a candidate?
I think that when you abstain from voting, you give up your voice, as I have said before. And I think that we showed last year in our abstentions that Matt Tick won over by 1 vote, and there were 400 abstentions. I believe that's the number. And I think that a lot of those people did have an opinion on what candidate, or maybe they just didn't look into it enough. So I think that when you really do your research on what candidate is right for you, you can have a say in what goes on in youth in government, and you can say, I chose that person, or you can defend why you chose that person, and maybe they did lose, but you can at least say that you had an input in how the next year in youth in government, or even real politics, laid out.
You know what? I actually disagree with that. I believe that abstentions have been on our political platform and on our policies for decades. It hasn't just originated in the Americas, it's also originated in Europe, where our system is embodied after. I think that abstentions are a way of, in fact, embodying democracy. It's a vote. It's not just giving up your voice. It's telling people that, this is a race it's very close, and I agree with both the candidates. I'm going to leave it up to the power of democracy. I think that 1 vote difference that happened between Matt Tick and Ryan Moorman, that 1 vote shows how important it is that we embody democracy and each generation learns democracy.
Me, as a personal level, I agree with them, the last comments from Spencer. And from the actual counting of abstentions, I've talked to numerous delegates when I'm campaigning, and actually some of them might have missed it, some of them were going to the restroom, some of them simply did not vote because they weren't present at that particular time, which is unfortunate. And I think that counting as an abstention is kind of putting fire to the flame type of thing, or putting fuel to the flame. And I feel that we are a democracy. We're trying to teach democracy, something that's been very skewered in our country right now, and one of the reasons why this country needs people like my fellow peers on this table. And I think that we need the options, and we need to stick to the if you don't necessarily feel comfortable, if they don't align with exactly what you want, and they're not the exact candidate you want, and you shouldn't have to sacrifice anything. If you would like to abstain because you do not feel comfortable supporting that particular candidate, just like I did with the party system, you should have that option.
Yeah, I second what Spencer and Max have said. I think that abstentions are important to keep in youth and government because they do exist in the real political system, and it is a form of voting, even though you're not choosing to vote for a specific candidate or a specific way on a bill. I think that YNG's job, and specifically the role of candidates, bill sponsors, anyone who's putting forth something that is to be voted on, should be to inspire people, to rally them so that they get up and they feel compelled to vote a certain way. And I think we've done a really great job of that in youth and government, is getting students to vote on things. And so instead of abolishing abstentions, I think, and exactly what Yin Yang Party has been doing, just encouraging people not to abstain, encouraging them to form opinions.
And to add to Jenna's note, thank you, I would say that the Yin Yang Party strives to encourage you to learn about every single candidate up here, and especially for Secretary of State, it's already down to 2. You should get to know your candidates and know who you're voting for and know what is going on in your system, so you can have a say in what goes on. So I think that it wouldn't abolish abstentions. If you don't like either candidate or any of the candidates, you don't have to vote. It wouldn't abolish them, but I think that it should just encourage you to get to know your candidates because you might just like one of them.
While I do greatly agree with the power of delegates bonding over this movement, I believe we should encourage, like she said, encourage the getting to know of all candidates. However, it's difficult to choose. I would like to believe that we up here are all great candidates and would all do an amazing job. I would have a very difficult time choosing between the 5 of us. And if you would like to not necessarily proclaim yourself to one candidate, an abstention would be a valid part of democracy in my eyes.
I think I speak for everyone when I say that all of the candidates up here, we all are very open to talking to any delegate who approaches us. So
Very much
we
so.
exactly we want you to know more about us. So find us around
Exactly.
town.
All right. So continuing with the questions, how about we talk about real life and real world problems? A problem that we have today is pro-life versus pro-choice. A woman who has a baby inside her has the either should have the decision or should be forced to abort. Your thoughts?
If you don't mind, I think I'll take this one first.
How about
for
it?
I absolutely and fully believe in the right for a woman to choose what to do with her body. I think when it comes to abortions, that's a very personal and emotional decision someone has to make. And I think it's something that the government really shouldn't have their hands in. That's my answer.
I couldn't agree with Spencer more. I think that as a woman, I would like my rights to do what I will with my body, and I think that if either you're not ready or it was a situation that's very uncomfortable for you and you don't feel prepared, I don't think you should bring into the world another life that you're not ready to take care of, and therefore would just be a life that you couldn't nourish in the proper way.
I'll have to agree with that. I think that the fact that Planned Parenthood has actually got spending cuts and funding cuts, I think that's a genuine disappointment in our government, and I think that we do need to have the options. This is a democracy. I don't think the government should be, and this goes for everything, I don't think the government should be telling us what to do and not to do on these types of social issues. And I think that I'm completely pro-choice.
Yeah, like the other candidates have said, I'm also strongly pro-choice, and quite frankly, as a female, I find it offensive to think that the government or certain legislatures think that they can make a decision about my body, my future, my potential child,
Absolutely.
that they could make that decision better than I could. And so I think we need to leave those very personal decisions up to women.
Well said.
I would say we are all on the same page on this issue. I'm very pro-choice. However, I believe that laws cannot be made because laws like that cannot be made because you can never truly understand all the situations that life puts you through, and you cannot just create such a general umbrella law that will negatively affect the people.
All right, well, it seems we have a unanimous agreement. But here's something that you guys might have some disagreement with. What policies of your fellow candidates do you perhaps disagree with or maybe not completely agree with?
We'll just do the same thing, going down the line.
Yeah. Martin, do you want to start for once?
Yeah.
One thing that I do not quite agree with is the idea that every delegation should get one vote in an election. While small delegations do need to be fought for, the right way, I believe, is to cluster up. As governor, I would establish a meet and greet between all of the presidents of California so you can get clusters together and let great candidates be heard no matter which delegation they come from. However, if you give every delegation one vote, you take away the voice of the people.
Which one of us has that?
I believe actually that was a candidate who ran at Bob 2 and didn't make it to the top 5, but had proposed that idea. I was actually going to speak on the same topic. I know it was a candidate who ran at Bob 2 who brought up the idea of having every delegation have an equal number of votes. And I think that while, as Martin said, it is important to encourage small delegations, I think something we could do to fix that issue better would be to encourage the formation of more clusters between small delegations so they can get to have more of a voting block. But as Martin said, I think that when you give each delegation the exact same number of votes, especially if you're coming from a large delegation like both of us do, that means that the 130 people in my delegation are narrowed down to 2 opinions, and I think that's unfair.
Just to clarify, I think that might have been directed towards me. I don't want to reform caucus voting in that sense. It was a program area that, if elected, I will instate. It was a program area called House of Representatives, which you can talk to anyone for, and me. But I would have to say the cluster idea previously stated. I feel that the small delegations within our program are crucial, because if the small delegations are not feeling a morale such as the larger delegations, I, for one, am coming from a large delegation, I feel that they will not have the motivation to go and speak out to their fellow peers, to go out and say, hey, look, I have a close group of friends that we are all very knit closely in this small delegation, and I want you to come join, and I want you to hear what I have to say that's going to be amazing about this program. So the cluster idea, I would say I have to disagree with, but yeah.
While I feel that all of the candidates up here have incredible ideas, and we've all thought our platforms out very thoroughly, I think that there are a few ideas that don't exactly need to happen, and one of them being the House of Representatives. I think that having one vote from each delegation and creating it as a program area from what you described, it'd be dance themes and even food. I think that that's unnecessary, and it takes away from delegates actually getting to participate in maybe the Senate or Assembly because they hear about this new program area that isn't maybe what it sounds like. So I think that we could maybe refine that program area if it is put in and make it more realistic.
So just to clarify, a bicameral legislature is out of the question?
Oh, I guess I'll take that. Well, I think we're talking about what a candidate proposed to do, which was a House of Representatives, which wouldn't be bicameral. It would be just a representative of population. I agree with two of the candidates' policies, and that's Avery's here and as well as Max. I do not believe that a House of Representatives is really going to be effective. Like Avery said, the issues that might be discussed just maybe not too pertinent to us. I know that this is a model legislature in court, and we're not really modeling anything when we create a House of Representatives that discusses food, dance themes, things of that nature. In addition, I don't support the idea of no abstentions. I know it's been talked about before, but I'd like to reiterate that I think that abstentions are part of our democratic system and should be retained.
Just to make a quick note, the reason why I said the dance themes and things like that is because it's things that the delegates and the program as a whole, the youth of the program, can feel the direct effect of their voice and feel their expression come into place in a first-hand I don't know how to say it, in a first-hand feeling where they can actually see a change and a difference that they've made.
I think that the point that the other candidates have been trying to make about the House of Representative program, and one that I agree with, is that having some kind of system where delegates who represent each delegation can make decisions about the structure of YNG itself is beneficial, but having it as an entirely separate program area, meaning that for certain delegates their whole YNG experience is dedicated towards determining dance themes and food, as Avery said, kind of takes away from the seriousness and the governmental experience that they could be getting.
And I also think that Matt Tick, I know that I actually volunteered to go as a president when my president wasn't there, but he has president's meeting where they talk about things that need to be fixed in the program, things that they see, observations that they make, and that does go on, but it's not so much food and dance themes because that's more the staff that handles it, and it's kind of a tradition that we have this food at Bob that's, not so great, and then we have the quesadillas from SPPY, which is awesome, and I think that's kind of the tradition in youth in government, and that's what makes us so connected that we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Avery. I've had the pleasure of being in some of those meetings as well, and they're really informative. Those town hall meetings, I think that Matt calls them, they're great, and I think they accomplish exactly what Max is aiming for.
Well, I believe what the people truly need to understand is that as youth governors, one of our prime jobs would be to create new program areas because the program is expanding so vastly.
Yeah, exactly why I did that.
And that is a good form of a good initiative. And we will undoubtedly, no matter who is elected, work together to solve these issues and create new program areas. So I think this is a very good start.
I'd have to disagree, actually. I'm not sure if it's entirely our main purpose, our driving purpose to be creating new program areas, but rather to be improving the ones we have. I think that we don't want to make YNG too overextended. We have almost an entire model legislature in court in that there's not many things that exist in the real government that we don't have here. And I think that there's lots of things we can do to improve what we already have, but when we start trying to create new things, I think we might be stretching ourselves a little too thin and not giving delegates the full experience.
And also, like we talked about before, the new program of political parties, I think we should start just, refining those, perfecting those, and then moving on to a new program area. I too have thought of a new program area which would add, kind of like an international aspect to youth in government. It'd be basically infiltrating MUN into, youth in government as a smaller segment. But I think that we should always refine the programs that we have right now and work with what we have right now, perfect that, and then move on.
It's time for a new topic, and one topic is perhaps past performances. For the 64th Youth Governor, Matt Tick, here's a new question. I want you to rate him on a scale of 1 through 10, and then explain your grade.
Okay, I think we'll do it this way then. Okay, I've had the pleasure of working with Matt Tick closely in some instances. As a Kona delegate 2 years ago, and then last year as a Kona delegate again, he's really helped me on my speech making, and he's contributed some tips to my campaign too. As a governor, I think he's doing one tremendous job. He's a terrific governor, and if I was to rate him, I'd give him an 11, but I guess I have to give him a 10. The reason I say that is because he's very accepting of all political values, but he's also willing to take a stand for what he believes in. He's going to pass laws that will help California. And not only that, but he wants to make himself accessible to the delegates of youth and government. That's why I support Matt Tick.
I too have had the great pleasure of getting to know Matt Tick, even through Skype sessions because he does live in San Diego. It's always interesting to hear about his Jeopardy stories and his little anecdotes about things. I think, Spencer, I'm gonna go with a 12 on that. So, sorry, I have to go with a 10. I'm gonna go with a pretty high grade on Matt Tick. He has also been faced with a pretty sticky situation of that we are the biggest we've ever been this year. That's a huge deal for a youth governor. And also, how do you handle that? How do you handle all of these delegates and so many people relying on you as the youth governor and the role model? It's a huge, huge deal for youth in government and for a youth governor. I think he's doing a tremendous job at it.
I would like to, I don't know, I feel like I would have a more comfortable way of answering this question after I've seen his entire performance throughout the entire program, so I can look at everything he's done rather than just looking at half of his job so far. I think so far he's been doing an excellent job. I've been so busy I haven't necessarily seen him associating himself with the delegates and stuff like that. I think he's doing a great job in the sense of handling the program, making sure he's getting out there with the publicity, making sure the delegates knowing he's there. But since he is not, I cannot judge him based off of his entire job, his entire life as our youth governor. I'm going to have to give him an 8 based off of that. Thank you.
Like Spencer, I've had the extreme honor of getting to know Matt Tick through Kona, and after spending some time with him, I've realized he is just one of the most inspirational and amazing people you ever meet. For anyone watching, if you haven't had a conversation with him, just go find him and talk to him. He is wonderful. Like Avery and Spencer, I would have to give Matt Tick a 10, and the reason being is that he hasn't just taken his time as governor to enjoy it and be a big figure up on the stage, but he's actually started to make real changes with his governor's challenge and his program-specific bills. He's instituting new parts of YNG that give delegates more of a chance to speak out, more opportunities to speak up, and I think that's really great that he's been doing that. And I'd give the hair a 100 out of 10. Just throwing that in.
I agree.
I would have to side with Max Bouverie and give him an 8 in this situation. I have met him, and he is an amazing person and is always willing to help any delegate, and he has done an amazing job with the program. However, I believe the program is thriving, and we must take that next step. The youth governor must get more involved. The program must step out of the bounds it is in right now and expand into real-world situations, and every delegate needs to go home keeping in mind that they must keep their drive alive that they've had over these conferences.
All right. Thank you for your time, candidates. And now one last time, I'll have each candidate say their name, delegation, and the political party that is supporting them.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm Spencer Perry from the Albany delegation and the Pirate Party. I'm running to be your 65th youth governor.
Hi, my name is Avery House of Westside Family Y, proudly running with the Yin Yang Party, and I'm running to be your 65th youth governor.
My name is Max Bouverie, running to be your 65th youth governor. I am running with the unaffiliated party, which is the Everybody Party.
Thank you guys for watching. My name is Jenna Galper. I'm from the Crescenta Kenyatta YMCA and the Slumber Party, and I'm running to be your 65th youth governor.
My name is Martin Beer from Culver Palms Family YMCA, running to be your 65th youth governor, representing the House Party.
And my name is Jason Bilger. I'm SDSC South Bay. I'm not running for youth governor, but I was your moderator for this debate. Thank you.